The synod, when I say synod, I mean all of the bishops together that helped lead our church, approved a new English translation to be used. What do I mean by translation? What language was the Qurbana in originally? It wasn't in English. Anybody? Monglish? Not Monglish, but good guess. Syriac, right? So the original language that this Qurbana that we prayed in was the language Jesus and his apostles spoke, right? Aramaic or Syriac. Syriac is a dialect of Aramaic. They spoke Aramaic. So originally this was in Aramaic. Then in the last century, so like some of our grandparents, some of our great-grandparents, some of our great-great-grandparents, depending on how old you are, our great-uppachins and great-amachis, they also prayed, even in India, they prayed in Aramaic, in Syriac. But there was a problem with that. What do you think the problem was? What language do you guys speak at home? What do you speak at home? English? Anybody else? English? You guys all speak English? Some of you speak maybe Malayalam with your parents as well, or maybe your Uppanjis and Amachis, right? The problem was, in India, nobody spoke Syriac or Aramaic at home or on the street or at school. They spoke which language? Malayalam. So the church said, well, we shouldn't keep worshiping in Syriac because nobody understands it. Nobody speaks it. Few people understand it, but most of the people in India don't. In the Middle East, there are some people who speak it at home, but even they usually will speak Arabic, usually, or Turkish, depending on where they're from. So the church in India said, well, we need to make sure when people are praying, they understand what they're praying. They understand it. I'll get to you in just a second. They understand what they're praying. And so the church said, well, we need to translate into Malayalam. So everyone's praying and singing the hymns, not in Syriac Aramaic, but they're singing in Malayalam. Because it's important for us to understand what we're praying, what we're saying during the Qurbana, right? And there were some people that weren't very happy about this in India. They said, we shouldn't translate into Malayalam, you shouldn't sing it in Malayalam, you should sing it in Syriac, right? But the church knew better and said, well, this is meant to be understood and prayed, right? And Syriac or Greek or all the languages of the ancient church, that was what people spoke at home or in the streets. So that's why those were the languages. Over time, sometimes people start speaking different languages or they move to another place where another language is spoken. That's what our church is going through, right? So now, after they translate into Malayalam, now the church for half a century or probably more has been used to praying the liturgy in Malayalam mostly, with a few Greek words and Syriac words here and there, right? Stomankalos, Kurilaison, and Greek words, right? That's a Syriac word, right? Syriac words. So now the church says, okay, we have to sprinkle some English in here because we're in a place where English is spoken. And a lot of us, myself included, we grew up thinking and praying and speaking predominantly in English, right? So thanks be to God, for a long time we did have English. We had English, and thanks be to God for those who helped put that English together. But there was a little bit of a problem with that English. The focus was mostly on making things rhyme and how the English sort of sounded. And sometimes the English is not a great translation of the original language, Syriac. So sometimes the meaning of the prayers weren't as clear or as precise as they should have been. And also, to those who speak English as a first language, right? The first language we speak, or a native English speaker, the English can be a little awkward, grammatically problematic sometimes. There are mistakes in the English. And sometimes, again, it's just not clear what's being said, right? And the point of the language is to help us understand as much as we can, right? So this book has English, which is a little bit more familiar and comfortable to people nowadays, how they speak English in the United States primarily, right? So that's what it is. So it'll take a little while to get used to, but you guys already know the melodies, you already know these things, so it's just a quick adjustment, right? So the first thing I want you guys to do is open up to the very first, almost first page, right? I'm going to open up to this page right here, the table of contents. If you can't find it, it's okay. Just look up here. If you ever get lost, check out the table of contents. And just really briefly, because we want to practice some of the hymns here, one today, but I just want to give you an idea of what's in the book so you know how to use it as well, okay? So you'll see like, oh, ninth hour, Vespers, Compline, that's right, evening prayers, morning prayers, etc. This little section, the second one, Kurbono, right? So whenever you come on Sunday, you're probably going to be somewhere in there, right? There's other things in this book, right? Not just the prayers for the Qurbana, the prayers for liturgy. There's also sections that help you prepare for confession before a priest. Those are great, right? So make note of that. If you ever come to confession, grab one of these, look in the table of contents. Oh, page 380, turn to there, okay? There are lots of things in this book to help us, whatever language we speak. So this language is not only in English, it's also in Manglish, right? It has Malayalam written in English letters, and it has Malayalam written in Malayalam letters, right? Because, right, we have people at our churches who speak and pray in Malayalam and in English. So this book, hopefully, by God's grace, will make it easier for us to all pray together in whatever language we speak, whether Malayalam or English. And it allow us to do, like we did in morning prayer, for those of you that were here, we kind of did some English, some Malayalam, which Achin asked us to do, which is nice, right? So those things are all a part of the book, right? Malayalam or English, right? Different prayers, prayers for confession, prayers that we use throughout the year. So sometimes there are special hymns that we sing, like if it's Christmas or Easter, right? And those are in the back of the book, right? I'm not going to go too much in detail because I don't want to take too much time. But that's what's in here. Also, if you turn to any random page, let's say 228, page 228, you'll see here that next to the prayers, there are also other things happening here, right? This is commentary. This is helping us understand what's happening in the liturgy, right? Or telling us, oh, this is a hymn you're singing. Did you know this hymn is based off of this psalm in the Bible or this verse? That's what that's there for. So this whole book is hopefully making us more aware of what we're doing and helping us pray more deeply and concentrate as much as we can. Because it's hard to always stay concentrated, right? Sometimes our mind drifts off. But we want to be concentrating on the prayers as much as possible and praying together as one voice. Okay? Any questions so far? You had a question? Yeah, 18 is fine too. Yeah. Same thing happens, right? You see prayers, English, Manglish, Malayalam, and then you have commentary, again, trying to explain certain prayers, certain parts of the liturgy, explaining to us what's going on, okay? Any questions on anything so far? Again, it'll take a while to get used to, and you might have noticed, oh, go ahead.
Why are you speaking in English?
What's that?
Why are you speaking in English?
Why am I speaking English? Because my Malayalam is terrible. So I usually do English. I didn't grow up speaking Malayalam. I'm not even full Malayali like you are. My dad's a white guy. He has blonde hair. My mom is from India. So I grew up praying and speaking English mostly, but I had to learn Malayalam later in life, just how to pray it. But unfortunately, I'm not very good at it still. So that's why. So I apologize if you understand Malayalam better. Bear with me. So let's all together. Any other questions about the book or anything? And you may have noticed some things are maybe in a different order than you're used to. That's because the liturgy itself is actually somewhat flexible. So there are different places you can do different things. So Achin had me give the sermon today, for example, at the end of the Qurbana. You can actually give it in two other places. You can give it right after the gospel. You can also give it right after the elevation, right after usually people do two kuplions, and you can give it there. There's multiple places you can give communion too. The original place is during the procession, right? When Achin comes from the west, from the east to the west, right? And he can give communion at that time. Or he can give it before then, as we did today. Or he can even give it, which usually isn't done, except for sometimes Holy Thursday. You can give it at the very end of everything, right? So there's multiple places where you can do that. So when we put the book together, we just kind of have to choose. We have to choose. So if your parish does things a certain way, you might have to start learning how to flip to different spots. And it can be kind of frustrating at first. So we apologize for that. But we went with kind of the most traditional, the oldest way of doing things where we could. So that's why this might look different than the Qurbana Kramos maybe you grew up with, as far as the order, what things come here and then after that and so forth. All right. So we have no more questions. Let's practice the hymn together, and then I'll send you guys on your way because you guys have Sunday school. I don't want to put you to sleep before your class. All right. So we're going to practice one stanza from the hymn that we sing right before the Qurbana starts, right before the curtain opens, and before Achin prays, right? In Syriac, or if it's in English, right? May Mary, who bore you, and John, who baptized you, right at the beginning. We sing a hymn right before that to get ready. And it is on page, bear with me for 1 second. 157, thank you. Turn to page 156 or 157. Right? 156 is the English, and then the same Malayalam is on 157. The good thing is, again, you guys grew up singing these hymns, so it's really easy. We just have to get used to singing it in a different version of English than we're used to. The helpful thing about our tradition is most hymns are arranged to a very specific pattern. So the number of syllables in a particular musical phrase is always the same. Some hymns are different, but most of the hymns are that way. So for example, if I sing this to the numbers, page 156, so you're almost there, 156. Okay, so if I sing this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, left 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, left 12. The melody, you know. Why am I singing it with numbers? Because all of the words, the syllables, when you add them up, will be the same. Will be 12. I'll show you. Page 156, the third stanza down. By your light, we see the light. By your light we see the light, Jesus, full of light. Oh, that's 12 syllables. So you know that you will sing every stanza the same way, for the most part. Once in a while, we have to add another syllable. Malayalam has to do this a lot. Here, let me find it for you, sweetheart. Once in a while, the Malayalam will add some extra syllables because sometimes you just need more syllables and more words to say something. And that's okay, but the melody pretty much stays the same. You just have to sing a little faster or a little slower to make it work. But for the most part, our music, we call Syriac liturgical music, Suryani liturgical music, keeps to that kind of strict pattern. That makes it easy for us to all sing together and to all sing lots and lots of hymns to the same melody pretty easily, okay? And then the second part of that hymn is another pattern, 7 syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, well, that sounds like, oh, splendor of the Father. That's 7. Shine your joyous light on us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, it's like magic, right? So all of these will be pretty easy once you get it. And you guys already know the melodies because you've been singing them for years and years. Again, it's just getting used to a new translation of English. So let's sing all of that verse together. Number 9, by your light we see the light, Jesus full of light. Let's sing it together once and see how we do. And then if we need to break it down by line, we'll do that. But I'm pretty sure we should get it pretty quickly, okay? 1, 2, 3, and by your Beautiful. That was easy, right? I don't even need to teach you guys. You guys already know it. So let's do another one. 13, and then we'll call it good for today. Okay. Number 13, Lord, make good memory of the faithful departed. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and Lord, make Perfect. Perfect. You guys are good. Any questions or anything? Anything so far? Okay. One last thing. Make sure, again, look through the table of contents, adults and children, youth, everybody. Just so you familiarize yourself with what's in the book. Because there's some really nice, helpful stuff, again, especially the preparation for Holy Confession. It's very, very, very helpful. The other thing is, I want you to flip a couple pages after the table of contents, past the foreword to this page right here, where it says prayer when entering the church. Okay, good. I see most of you are on that. Make sure you memorize that. A lot of us just kind of walk into church as if we walk into anywhere, like in our room. When you see your parents after school, you say hi to them usually, right? Maybe. Or let's pretend you have a favorite athlete or a favorite musician or a favorite celebrity. If you walked in somewhere and you saw them, you wouldn't just be like, you wouldn't ignore them. You might be like, hi. You might want to acknowledge them, right? How much more then when we come to the temple where God is present in a special way, right? We turn our thoughts to him and we say hi, right? So when I enter the temple, the first thing I should say is this prayer. I will enter your house in awe and offer my vows to you. That's from the Bible. That's from the Psalms, right? So memorize that prayer, okay? If you forget how to say it, it's in this book in the very beginning, right? A few pages after the table of contents. So when you enter the church, make sure you say that prayer. And then the tradition is after you say that prayer, you say, Holy art thou, God, holy art thou, almighty, holy art thou, right? You go through the Commonwealth, through the Our Father, and Hail Mary if you want, right?
If you read it, like if you stream, then you can read it.
Yeah. Make sure to read silent. Very good point. Make sure to read it softly, especially if there's others in the church. That's a very good point. All right. So make sure to memorize that prayer and let me know if you have any questions. And otherwise, you guys are doing great. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Achin. And God bless you guys as you start your new Sunday school year.
Pradeep Shamashan. See, many people ask me why Shamashan gave Holy Communion and why Shamashan read out our Evangelion. So just I wanted to, hear from Shamashan's side. He is full deacon. ബാക്കിയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ Shamashan പറയും.
Oh, sure. So with the priest's permission, I can't do it by myself, but with the priest's permission, certain ranks of deacon are allowed to preach read the gospel and also give out Holy Communion. So Achin was kind enough to allow me to do that today, so that's why. So we don't see it a lot because we don't have very many Chamachans in our church anymore. But traditionally, again, the priest can give a blessing for a deacon to give those things, communion and preach the gospel.